Hey everybody and welcome back. Right now we're going to cover Spellblade Aluriel. So the first thing you need to know is to clear the whole room all the way up to these stairs here. This is going to be your best positioning for this boss fight. Going into one of the little garden corners doesn't really do it as well for you, so you should try to clear this area as it's a much more open space than any of the others. Now Aluriel has 3 different phases. Each one has a different elemental advantage to it. So we have Frost, Fire, and Arcane. The one that comes up first is Frost. One other thing to note is the tanks have to stack on each other every time he's going to cast Annihilate, and they have to taunt off each other every 2 stacks. So you see here the Annihilate is being cast, both tanks stack on top of each other. This cleave shouldn't be split with anyone else, no one else should be standing in front of the boss. One other thing to note is the second Annihilate is going to hurt really bad. So the second Annihilate, you're going to want to use a small tanking cooldown and your active mitigation has to be up in order for you to survive that. Now you see here, there are people that have the Frost brand off in the corner. If you have this mark of Frost, you're going to start taking more and more stacks and more damage. What you need to do is bump someone every 4 to 6 stacks, and this will transfer the stacks off and make them fall off. Once your brand falls off, you're going to drop a patch of Frost on the ground, and that'll eventually become an ad. We can see everybody off in the corner dealing with the mark of Frost. It's kind of a little group over there, and they just keep bumping into each other to make those stacks transfer over. So here we have all of the ads. They all have to collapse down to the center and everybody has to cleave them down, but remember, don't stand in front of the boss. So this is a DPS race. You have to get all of these ads down before he spawns more additional ones that are coming in the next phase. So here we have another Annihilate. The tanks need to stack together and split that damage. The next phase we have is Fire. You see here these lines of fire. Basically the boss is going to charge through that line and hit anyone in that line. So if you are targeted by this fire, make sure you move out of the way and no one else is near you so that you're not causing any additional cleave damage. Once your firebrand wears off, you're going to drop a patch of fire on the ground. So don't drop it in melee or else everyone's going to have to move and everyone will take damage. So here we're going to have the brand fall off, drop a patch of fire on the ground. We still have some clean area. Here we have the second Annihilate. You see I pop a small cooldown to live through this. I'm using my trinket for the time being. So here we have the brands are going to animate, become actual elementals, and again, stack them together in melee, DPS them down, cleave them down, and this is a priority because these ads do AoE damage. The next phase is going to be the Arcane phase. Now in the Arcane phase, you're going to have Arcane orbs randomly going out, just don't stand anywhere near them. So here we have another Annihilate, go ahead and split that. Once we have enough of these Arcane orbs, they're going to actually rise up into the sky and drop back down. As a DPS or a healer, you want to avoid standing in any of this if at all possible, because once they line down, they're going to do a ton of damage. As a tank, I highly suggest popping a huge cooldown, something like Shield Wall, because when these orbs drop, you actually get an Annihilate stacked on it. So you see here an orb is going to drop on us, but I actually just popped Shield Wall and lived through that Annihilate. So again, if you're a tank and you want to live through that Annihilate while the Arcane orbs are going down, you need to pop a defensive cooldown. This part right here is where you want to pop Lust, because these Arcane elementals will eventually start casting something that will one-shot the raid. So these are the most important ones. The differences between normal, which you see here, and LFR is the fact that the Frost stacks don't hurt as bad in LFR, and they also cap out at 20. In normal and heroic, they do not cap out, so you'll eventually take so much damage you'll be one shot. So in LFR, the Frost brand, it's not as important, doesn't stack as high, and doesn't hurt you as much. In heroic difficulty, each of these additional ads will actually be doing something a little bit different. The Frost ads, instead of just being melee and collapsing, what they're gonna do is throw a Frost AoE on the ground. If you're inside of that AoE, you don't want to run out. If you're outside of it, you don't want to run in. Basically, you don't want to change your state when these Frost elementals drop this AoE on the ground. So if you see it drop on the ground, make sure you target them first. These frost elementals are very important. In this fight, always target the ads first. The fire elementals, they are going to be doing a cast instead of collapsing to melee. So if you're running heroic, you're going to want to do a slash range 8 and drop all the fire elementals in one side so that everybody can just go DPS them down. Their cast is going to be really big. It's going to hurt you a lot, but if they're within 8 yards of each other, they're going to buff each other up. So do a slash range 8, drop them on one side and DPS them down. The arcane elementals in heroic difficulty will instantly start casting Annihilate. So basically, as soon as those arcane elementals come out, you have a 30-second window to kill them all. What you want to do for those is collapse your group on the boss so that all of the arcane orbs drop behind the boss and they animate right behind the boss so you can cleave them all. I hope that helps. I know this is normal footage, but I'm trying to explain LFR, normal, and heroic. And again, if your tanks are getting a little bit too low, remember to tell them to have active mitigation up when taking that Annihilate and rotate their cooldowns. As always, I'm covering all of NIGHTHOLD, so if you guys need any help with any additional bosses, go ahead and click here anywhere on the screen or go to my channel. I'm going to have guides for all of these bosses up. And as always, good luck out there.